Alright folks, fresh out of the Supertest, let's take a look at the Tier 9 Chinese rocket heavy tank, the BZ-68. So we already covered the Tier 10, the 75, about a month ago, but we're kinda going slowly on the track to a late January release of this new tank line, compared to the Yo tanks, compared to the Italian heavies, or the double barrel Russian heavies. So could see them around February or so, but Wargaming could pick up the pace, so we'll have to see. But it is a new mechanic for rocket boosters, so you have a limited amount of jet boosters, so you cannot just negate your low horsepower per ton ratio with rocket boosting all the time. Have to use them sparingly and decisively, but you could go ramming with these and you will deal tons of damage to some poor medium tank or light tank, or Waffentraggers for that matter. But it is a new gimmick of sorts, but it does have two guns to choose from. So a basically normal gun, quote unquote, 130, or a 152 for the Tier 9. So kinda looks fairly modern with the turret shape design. Small commander cupola, which is always great. Loader cupola is practically non-existent. Very well sloped upper plate. Side skirts, which is also nice, but fairly modern looking too. Yeah, it's pretty nice looking. Doesn't have the double commander cupola, loader cupola like the WZ-111s. So better hull down, a lot better hull down. Engine deck is still there, so getting artillery will still suck, but you have a larger turret, so cover up half your vehicle during artillery shots. Might as well. Long barrel 130. And this thing could also carry a 152, whereas the Tier 10 has the 152 as a normal gun and a 180 as a derp gun. So you have your choice, like with the Japanese heavies, but these things are a lot more viable. A lot more viable. The Japanese heavy tanks get gold spammed all the time. Does have a driver hatch cupola thing right here, so it might be a weak spot, but it's small. It is very small. You could shock trap from the cheeks, but highly unlikely. It does have 8 degrees of gun depression, which is also fairly nice. The same old dushka on top. Unfortunately, you cannot use it because unfortunate. Otherwise, it will be a mess of machine gun fire. Yeah, the upper plate is very well sloped. Does really remind me of the 113 in a sense. It's also 120, so it could be like the 113, which is about 240 millimeters effective, 250-ish, depending on the angle. But that reminds me of a shot trap, so I have to see with the actual vehicle model once it comes to the common test. But the hull roof is somewhat large, and the turret doesn't cover up most of it, so you could get shot by artillery into the hull roof, or shot trapped. But yeah, commander cupola is small. Loader cupola is not there, so there's no loader cupola. That's always nice. Side skirts, fun times, ramming with this thing. It's surprising that this thing only has 120 millimeters of hull front, whereas the Tier 10 has 200 millimeters on the hull front, which is like an E100, but goes a lot faster than a E100 per se. Go into ramming stuff. Has the bustle racks, the rocket boosters in the back. More square shape, like a leopard, in the back, which is interesting. Shovels, spare track links. It's not a bad looking vehicle, really. It's like a 113 with a large gun and a larger turret and a rocket booster thing. Alright, initial stats. Let's take a look. So 130 millimeter on the normal gun, the stock gun, but it's practically the upgraded gun in a sense. You don't use a 122 for stock or any other caliber, but about 250 millimeters of pen for AP, which is standard. 530 alpha, which is a little bit more than the standard. Standard is usually about 490, so a little bit more of a punch, but it takes a little bit longer to reload at 15 seconds, give or take. Gold shell is high explosive anti-tank. Average for large caliber high explosive anti-tank, but still workable. It's still good. and high explosive is high explosive. 2.9 seconds aim time, 0.42 accuracy, so it's about the same ballpark as the 130s on the 50 toilet paper. What else uses 130? The WZ-111 1-4 also uses it. Also the WZ-114. But it's close enough. 8 degrees gun depression, 20 elevation, 30 rounds. This might be a problem if you spam too much and miss. Which I have done so in my IS-7, so normally you will prefer about 40 rounds, so make sure your shot hits, but commander, driver, gunner, and loader, similar to the 5As or WZ-111s, 35 km/h top speed, which is average, 14 reverse. Horsepower per turn ratio is only 12.8 without the rocket boosters, so it's not that fast, and based on terrain resistance, it could be a little bit slower or faster, but it's still a little bit faster than a Tiger 2 or E75 for that matter, and you could go ramming with it, but you probably want to combo that with the rocket booster. And rocket boosting goes up to 32 horsepower per turn ratio and 53 km/h top speed, which is fairly fast, but I think you want to put something like turbocharger on this thing, maybe. But hull traverse, not half bad, 28. Turret traverse, okay, 24. 5 rounds of the rocket boosters, takes 5 seconds to reload, but it will boost for 10 seconds, so make sure all those are used sparingly or decisively during your time. But health is not half bad, about 2000 for a tier 9 heavy, which is okay. Hull armor is 120 at the front, 110 at the sides, especially with side skirts. That is pretty good. And 280 for the turret front. Thick. Very thick, unless you get shot trap into this little cheek area right here. 380 meters of view range, which is meh, average. It's not that good, it's not that bad, but radio is radio. Overall, it seems the average performing gun is okay for a 130, but the most gimmicky thing you could do is ramming with the rocket boosters. That's your gimmick. Hull down, I think this vehicle is pretty nice, so it might be a little bit better than something like the 50 toilet paper or the 1-4 WZ-111 because the lack of a cupola weak spot. So this thing going hull down means kinda uncontested unless it's against like a Conqueror or something, or the Contracaros, the Italian tank destroyers. So practically a lacking of weak spots. But this is the in-game garage screenshot. So commander is also the radio operator, loader, yada yada. That looks like the stock turret. It doesn't have the bustle racks. It's a different shape. It's a more prominent commander cupola right here, especially with the lip right there. You do have a periscope blocking the front, or a searchlight blocking the front, but it's not that much. So this is the stock turret. The mantlet is also a little bit different. That's a stock turret, but they don't show you the actual stats, so that's good. It might be off skewed or different than the actual upgraded turret. It's a little bit more squarelier than the trapezoid shape of the upgraded turret. Huh. Alright. Carries 30 rounds, like we already saw, so upgrading the turret doesn't matter. That's fine. Shell velocity is alright, 1050 meters per second. It's not the greatest, so you have to lead your shot, but it's not the slowest, like about 800 meters per second, so it's alright, fairly average. It's actually better than the Chinese tank destroyers. Those get about 800 meters per second with the 130s or 152s, so those are pretty slow, so it's not half bad. Gold shell, you have to lead a little bit more with the shot and a little bit more with the high explosive, but you shouldn't be carrying that many high explosive rounds, like 1 or 2 based on the low ammo capacity, so about 2 rounds of the high explosive for situations. Alright, comparisons. This one is the 130 compared to the 152 derp gun. The derp gun has high alpha, only 50 millimeters of pin. It's like a artillery shell, practically. They don't show you the shell velocity. I don't think they show you the shell velocity of the 152, but based on the in-game rating of the firepower, it goes from a 365 to a 167. So you are practically at a disadvantage using the derp gun. It's mostly for memes, but reload's a little bit slower, obviously. Turn the gun is about the same speed, same gun depression and elevation. Only 0.1 seconds more of aim time. It gets better accuracy too with the derp gun. The larger gun has better accuracy for some reason. And a little bit worse aim time, but not that much. So I think it's a shorter barrel, 152, compared to the longer barrel, 130, but that's interesting. It has better accuracy. Same health, same armor, yada yada. Same weight, surprisingly, with the gun change. Surprisingly, same horsepower per ton ratio. So the weight of the 130 is the same weight of the 152. So it should be a smaller barrel 152 for the derp gun. That's why it's about the same horsepower per ton ratio. Otherwise, you will see more weight for the larger caliber of the gun. But other stats are the same. Camo is bleh. So it's a heavy tank. But then again, it's not a super heavy tank like the E100s or the Mouses. So fairly nice. Yeah, 130 compared to the 152. It has better accuracy on the 152. Aim time is... What? Oh, that is the... That's not the aim. That's the aim time. Wait, I'm getting confused. That's the reload time. 3.87. How's that? Oh, that's the rounds per minute. That's right. Accuracy is better. That's the aim time. Yeah, it gets better at... What? It gets better aim time on the 152 as well? That's rounds per minute. That's aim time. That is reload time. That is millimeters of penetration. That is alpha. It gets better aim time as well on the 152 for some reason. Okay. Alright, it has upgrade path that is actually not half bad. Mostly because you don't have to upgrade the turret to get the 152. But then again, you shouldn't be researching the 152. You should be researching the turret first. This is a meme. I think you research this thing last. I think you have to upgrade the tracks to mount the upgraded turret. But then again, it's alright since you already be using the best gun for this vehicle as stock. So it's not a bad grind to the tier 10. It's not really that bad, but they're showing the upgraded engine. Yeah, it's the last engine. Alright. They don't show you the stock engine, so you don't see how much lower the horsepower per ton ratio is. Yeah, it's okay. And there you go. Alright, so equipment wise, I think it's like any other breakthrough tier 9s. If you want to focus on speed, which this thing only has 35 kilometers per hour top speed, then you probably will want to put something like a turbocharger on this thing. What else is good? Obviously, rammer is always good, so you want to put rammer. Based on the shooting aspect, I think vertical stabilizer might be a little bit better than something of a improved aiming or enhanced gun lane drive, but it's not that accurate. It will take a little bit longer to aim, so you have to deal with it. But if you're poking out from hull down positions, then I think dispersion is better than baseline accuracy. And also vents also will help out. So it's like the traditional setup before the better equipments. So vents, vertical stabilizer, and rammer for that matter. But yeah, you could put turbocharger instead of maybe vertical stabilizer or vents, but yeah, vents help out dramatically. So I think if you really want to go for the meme aspect, put turbocharger. If not, if you want to go a solid all-around decent build, then probably vents. So let's take a look at the field modifications for this vehicle. Always choose better dispersion or better terrain resistance than durability. or hull traverse speed, this thing will help out with effective traverse for your vehicle, so always choose this one unless you're concerned about detracking all the time. But 5% or 10% is not that much unless it's based on RNG, so I think this one is still better. Better terrain resistance is always good. Accuracy or aim time? Oof. This one is hard to say. I mean, it's already crappy accuracy, it's already crappy aim time, so if you're especially using the 130, let's see. On paper, it's 0.42 accuracy. So let's compare that to something like the 50 toilet paper or the 1-4. So on paper wise, their 130 has baseline accuracy of 0.4 compared to your 0.42. So you are not as accurate compared to the other 130s. Let's see about this gun. 0.4. Oof, yeah. What about, I think the BZ-68 also has a 130. It could. Never mind. I thought it could mount at 130. That's the tier 8 premium, not the tier 9. It's only on 122. A tier 8 could mount a larger gun than the tier 9. Alright. Any of these doesn't have a 130. So, yeah, 0.4 accuracy compared to your 0.42 is kind of bad. So, might as well get better aim time. You already have garbage accuracy. Make it even worse. Just have better aim time, and your face hugging or close range fighting, you don't care about accuracy. As long as it hits, especially with gold shell, then it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, accuracy is not that good. I mean, it's already not that good for the 50 toilet paper, but then again, if you're at close range, you have better commander cupola than something like this, right? Or the loader cupola, especially compared to this. So yeah, might as well go with better aim time than accuracy. Stun duration or better view range? Always better view range. Just high from stun duration, and stun duration increase is not that much. It's like 2 seconds or less. It's really not that much. 10% stun duration is nothing, or 15%. It's nothing. So might as well get better view range. View range is kind of important, so always get better view range. Go with firepower to help out with your vertical stabilizer or your rammer. And lastly, better top speed or better aim time and turret traverse. The top speed bites into the turbocharger or the turbo mode, the rocket mode. I think you want to have better top speed, even though it cuts your aim speed or increase your aim speed. Better top speed means you go better with the rocket boosters, whereas the aim time does help out with the gun, but you're already having this buff from this one right here if you're choosing better aim time. So this one will negate with this one. Basically means you go faster instead of having worse accuracy. I think better top speed is still kind of important. 4 kilometers per hour top speed boost is dramatic for a 35 kilometers per hour vehicle. It is crazy different. It's more than 10%. So I think you should go with better top speed. Like 4 is kind of dramatic. And couple that with something of a turbocharger, you go even faster. So yeah, that's why my AE phase 1 has like 49? Yeah, 49. Practically a medium tank at that point. So main battle tank makes the concept 1. Did I say AE phase 1? The concept 1B is more like a main battle tank at that point. So the more top speed you have, the more medium tank capabilities or main battle tank capabilities you get. So the more oppressive you are towards medium tanks, and those are trying to contest for hills or key positions. So I think top speed is still more worthwhile. And overall, how much would I rate this vehicle? Now, it still depends on the armor, obviously, like with the tier 10 version, but it's not like 200mm for the hull front. That is insane. That is E100 levels, and that thing could go ramming at tier 10, whereas the tier 9 version is still good. It's like a 113-esque of a hull shape, just with a different turret. So 113, And I think the armor is also about the same, 120 sloped at the front, 113. Yep, it's kind of like that, right? The turret is obviously different, but you don't have the commander and loader cupola weak spots. And this thing is about 230-ish, 240-ish, 250-ish millimeters effective. So if you're hull down with 8 degrees of gun depression, then it's something like this, which is not half bad. At tier 9, also pretty decent. Better gun depression than the 113. But the gun is not accurate, to say the least, and aims a little bit longer than the usual. Also, the DPM is about 2000 or so, or slightly above 2000. So not the best DPM, but you have the armor, you have the rocket boosters. I think it's a fairly decent 7 out of 10. I mean, mostly because how strong the turret roof is with the lack of weak spots. If you're hull down, this thing is pretty decent. Unless they're spamming gold shell into the turret front. But it's still 280 slope upwards. It's thicker than the Jagdpanzer E100. So I think the turret front, if it's all 280, then it's practically immune. Unless you shoot the commander cupola, of course. So still a 7 out of 10. The gun performance could be better, but if this thing relies on armor, then it's fairly good hull down. Now, what I'm thinking right now is, if you're hull down, that will kind of negate the armor sloping of this cheek right here. So they'll shoot right here and shot trap into your hull roof. That will kind of suck, but we'll have to see with the actual armor model. If this thing is like, I don't know, the main weak spot for the turret, then it might be a 6.5 out of 10. But then again, you'll have to expose your bottom of your turret if you're already exposing the gun. So that might be a weak spot. Might be. So we have to see with the common test, with the actual vehicle model. But overall, 7 out of 10. Still good. Very good. It's just a little bit slow, but you could do that with a turbocharger. Mitigate the slowness. But I think based on the armor, it's fairly good for a tier 9. Well, there you go, folks. The tier 9 Chinese rocket boosting heavy tank, the BZ-68. So hopefully we'll see them around January, late January, if the schedule is going on course, like with the Yo tanks or the Italian heavies, showcasing the BZ-176 for holiday ops. But we have to wait and see, so we're getting there. So friendly reminder, make sure you use your well-deserved reward tokens from last year, because we're almost getting to the point of a new year, a new reward, and they're not going to give out the experimental equipments from the common test into the well-deserved reward, because not really well tested at this point, right? So we'll have to wait and see, but just make sure you use your tokens and finish up your battle pass. We're almost there, so Frontline will help out with your battle pass for next week. And happy Thanksgiving. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
I guess it's time for us to go, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, the voyage is done, and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us